Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Connect. I'm your host, Andy Hale. Today, I want to talk about a phrase that I have repeated hundreds of times in my lifetime. The phrase is this: everything in life is an opportunity. Let me say that again. Everything in life is an opportunity. I have said that phrase over and over to my family. I have said that phrase over and over to people at work. I have said that phrase over and over with friends. I even made a sign. I've got a sign in my office right now that I had made on Etsy. There's this company that'll make little wooden signs for you, custom made, whatever your little phrase wants to be. And that's what it says. Everything in life is an opportunity. And I look at it every day to remind myself of that exact phrase, that everything in life is an opportunity. What does that mean? Let me explain. Oftentimes in life, something happens that at first blush looks like a negative. We get down about it. We're like, oh God, I can't believe that happened. But in reality, it is an opportunity for growth. It's an incredible opportunity for growth. Let me give you a few examples. I'll start with one from my law firm. There was an attorney working with us. Her name was Michaela. She was an excellent attorney. Oh, smart, focused, dedicated. She was so good. I really, really liked her. One day, Michaela came and told me she was leaving the firm. She and her fiance were going to be moving out of state, closer to his family. And I was really devastated. I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be such a loss to lose her. She was such a good attorney and was such a big part of our team. And so I started to think how I was going to replace her. And my initial thought was that I would just replace her with somebody that was doing the same type of work that she had been doing, which was civil rights litigation. And I thought, okay, well, maybe I can try to find somebody, just to kind of plug and place, try to get as close to her as I could. I wouldn't be able to duplicate her. But then I paused. Something made me pause. And I've said this before. It really helps if at times in your life, you simply hit the pause button and think for a minute before acting. And I thought to myself, I think this might be some kind of opportunity. What is it? And so I would encourage everybody, when something happens to you, pause, almost like be like, hey, I'm getting sent a sign. What is going on here? And so I had always wanted to diversify the law firm a bit in terms of practice areas. I'd wanted to add practice areas for personal injury and medical malpractice, but we didn't have anybody that had experience in those areas. There was just no way to do it. So what did I do? I thought, you know what? Rather than replace Michaela with another civil rights defense attorney, let me see if I can find a way to launch this personal injury medical malpractice group. So I reached out to an attorney that I knew. His name was Brian Monaco. Brian was a top-notch, really successful personal injury and medical malpractice attorney. I had gotten to meet him because we actually tried a case against each other together, a civil rights case. And I went to Brian, not thinking I was recruiting Brian, because Brian was like so well known and such a superstar. I just asked him if he knew of any good like young associates, because I was looking to add practice areas for personal injury and medical malpractice. Well, long story short, I wound up having several conversations with Brian about my firm and the vision. And what wound up happening is Brian was the guy that joined the firm. Brian Monaco, this experienced personal injury and medical malpractice attorney, very well known in Chicago, joined the firm. And he's the Monaco of Hale and Monaco. And so now we have this thriving personal injury and medical malpractice group at the firm. And it's all because I paused and took what was initially a negative, Michaela leaving us, and I turned it into a positive, building these new successful practice areas. That would have never happened if Michaela wouldn't have left and if I wouldn't have paused and thought, now is the time. I've got an opportunity. I lost a person. I can add a person. This seems like the right time to do it. Let's talk about some other examples. Perhaps somebody is laid off at work. And of course, that obviously really stinks and that really hits you in the gut. But maybe it's an opportunity to find a better job, a job better suited for you in the long term, a job you like better, a job that when you wake up in the morning, you don't dread going to work. You actually really enjoy it. A job that offers you more opportunities. Maybe it's relationship based. Maybe your boyfriend or your girlfriend breaks up with you. And obviously that breaks your heart. But you know what? Maybe that relationship was never going to make it long term. And you wind up finding your true soulmate because of that. Whatever life throws your way, even if it appears initially as a negative, pause and look at the situation as an opportunity for growth. Let me even give you an example from the sports world. I'm a big sports fan. My wife is from Michigan. She went to the University of Michigan for undergrad and law school. So as you can imagine, she's a big University of Michigan football fan. As many of you know, probably sports fans know, about a month ago, Michigan's head football coach, Jim Harbaugh, was suspended for 3 games. He was not allowed to be on the sideline and coaching the team for the final 3 regular season games, which included the big finale game against Ohio State. I think most people, my wife definitely was one of them, view this as a huge negative. Like, oh my God, this is devastating. They're not going to have their head coach for 3 weeks. Oh my goodness. And looked at it as this huge negative. But you know what? You know what it actually was? An incredible opportunity for growth, because during those 3 weeks, Michigan players really bonded and rallied around each other in a way they had not ever before. And the offensive coordinator, Sharon Moore, took over as the interim head coach, and he was allowed to spread his wings. He took on more responsibility and a bond with his players, and he was truly amazing during that 3-week span. That suspension of Jim Harbaugh made the Michigan football team better and stronger, and it was an opportunity for growth that Michigan took full advantage of. And I can already see Michigan hoisting the national championship trophy. This team is so unified, so committed, so together. It's amazing. Let me give even a tiny, teeny, tiny, silly example, okay, where this happened to me recently, and it's happened to me several times. I was in the drugstore. I needed to pick up, toothpaste, paper towels, had, little list of stuff I needed to get. And I go to check out, and there's a really long line of people. My first reaction was, oh, darn it, I'm going to have to wait in this long line. And I just thought, wait a minute, take a deep breath. Instead of just getting in line and standing there, I thought, I'm just going to walk around and just kind of enjoy myself and browse, go up and down the aisles and, see what else is here. And as I did that, you know what happened? I found like 2 items that I had really wanted to get that I had forgotten and were not in my basket, that I added that I would have simply forgotten had I jumped in that line and just stood there kind of stewing about, being impatient, So it's a little example too of that was an opportunity. So I can't stress this enough. If life throws you a curveball and it looks initially like something negative to you, don't get down, pause. Pause and reflect and think of how you can turn that situation into a positive. There will typically be an opportunity for growth, something that you can use to your advantage. And I also say this, it's a related concept. There is no such thing as failure. If you fail at something, you also learn something in the process. You also got stronger in some way. You are now more experienced. I mean, I have lost some trials that were devastating, really, that really hits you in the gut. But you know what? I came out of those much better trial lawyer. The experience I got going through that, it's almost like a boxer, right? I mean, the more fights you have, the more experience you have, the better you are. And so when I think of these trial losses, I don't look at it as like I lost. I look at it as like, okay, I didn't get the result I wanted, but I personally grew. I'm better, I'm stronger, I'm wiser, I'm savvier. So any so-called failure is an opportunity for growth and improvement. So keep that in mind. Anytime something comes your way that looks like it's a negative, that's a downer, like I said, it's a curveball, pause. Pause and reflect and think, you know what? There's a door closing, but there's another door opening. What is it? Because it's out there. Pause and you will find it, and you will turn that negative into a positive. I hope some of this resonates with you. If it does, I'd love to hear about it. You can email me at andy@halemonaco.com. I'd always love to hear from anybody who's listening and has stories or ideas or thoughts. So I'm all ears. This program was produced by Phineas Ellis and Studio Friends, design and promotion by Bell and Ivy. I'm your host, Andy Hale. I'll see you next week.